Hello everyone, welcome to my children's story video channel. So let's start it. Sana went to the library and searched for books about Rosalind Franklin. She was amazed at all the things she discovered. Rosalind was a scientist who had a passion for understanding the fundamental building blocks of life. She had an unrelenting drive for knowledge and discovery. As Sana read more, she learned that Rosalind's work had been instrumental in the discovery of DNA's double helix structure. Rosalind was the first to capture a high-resolution image of DNA using X-ray crystallography. This image provided crucial evidence for James Watson and Francis Crick, who were also studying the structure of DNA. Sana was impressed by Rosalind's work and knew that she wanted to follow in her footsteps. She wanted to be a scientist just like Rosalind, to explore the wonders of the natural world and make a difference in the field of genetics. Sana decided to write a letter to Rosalind, expressing her admiration and seeking advice. She hoped that Rosalind would respond to her letter, and she couldn't wait to see what the scientist would say. Days passed, and Sana eagerly checked her mailbox every morning. Finally, one day, she received a response. It was a typed letter from Rosalind herself. Sana was overjoyed as she read the letter, which encouraged her to pursue her dreams and never give up on her passion for science. With Rosalind's words ringing in her ears, Sana felt even more determined to follow her dreams. She was excited to see where her curiosity would take her next on her journey towards becoming a scientist. 2. A laboratory adventure. Sana was determined to learn more about DNA and follow in Rosalind Franklin's footsteps. She reached out to a local laboratory, hoping to volunteer and gain hands-on experience. Upon arrival at the laboratory, a scientist greeted Sana. "Welcome. We are thrilled to have you here. We could surely use an extra pair of hands," said the scientist. Sana was thrilled to be given the opportunity, and she was ready to dive right in. The scientist explained that they were studying the properties of DNA and needed help with analyzing the data. Sana observed the technicians as they worked, carefully measuring the samples and logging their measure. After hours of work, the technician called Sana over. "We need your help. The results we found seem to be different from the standard that was set by the previous studies." Sana was puzzled. "What do you mean different?" She asked. "Well, the DNA structure doesn't quite fit with what we have found. We need to conduct further tests to get a better understanding," replied the technician. The next few days were spent running tests, and the results were indeed different. Sana was intrigued and could hardly contain herself. During one of her breaks, she pulled out a book she had brought with her and read about Rosalind Franklin's discovery. As she read, she realized that her situation was similar to Rosalind's when she had first started her research. Rosalind had to face many challenges while working on her DNA structure studies. At one point, her Vru image was stolen and Cho had taught structure studies. At one point, her X-ray image was stolen and she had to start all over again. Sana was determined to solve the problems faced at the lab, and she quickly devised a new hypothesis. Together with the technicians, they tested the hypothesis and discovered that the sample they had been working with was contaminated. Further tests proved that the contamination had occurred during the preparation of the sample. "I can't believe it," said the scientist. "We've been running this sample for weeks, and it was contaminated all this time." "Sana, you have done an amazing job. How did you figure it out?" "I read about Rosalind Franklin, and I realized that sometimes you need to think outside the box to find answers. Rosalind Franklin was an amazing scientist. We could all learn a lot from her," said the technician. Sana smiled, happy to have made a difference and proud to have followed in the footsteps of Rosalind Franklin. She knew that science was full of challenges, but she was excited to face them head-on. As Sana walked out of the laboratory, she was filled with a sense of accomplishment. She had gained a wealth of knowledge and practical experience, which would undoubtedly help her in her future studies. She paused for a moment and reflected on how much she had grown in such a short time. She knew that her interest in science had been sparked by her admiration for Rosalind Franklin and her groundbreaking research. As she walked home, Sana felt excited about what the future held. She knew that there would be obstacles and challenges, but she was ready to tackle them head-on, just like Rosalind Franklin had done. With a sense of purpose, she looked up at the sky and the sun's rays in such a short time. She knew that her interest in science had been sparked by her admiration for Rosalind Franklin and her groundbreaking research. As she walked home, Sana felt excited about what the future held. She knew that there would be obstacles and challenges, but she was ready to tackle them head-on, just like Rosalind Franklin had done. With a sense of purpose, she looked up at the sky, and the sun's rays warmed her face. She knew that her journey in science had only just begun, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take her.